Hi everyone, my name is Jisook Chung. I'm a marketing director of USSEC Korea. I'm pleased to have this opportunity to introduce Korea soy food market at this conference. I'm going to talk about Korea soybean consumption, soy food market segments, and trends. Before going into the subject, let me introduce South Korea briefly. Korea has been separated into North and South for more than 70 years since 1948. South Korea's land is slightly smaller than North, but its population is 51 million, twice as large as North, and its GDP per capita last year was around $31,000, which is much higher than that of the North. From here on, I will call it Korea rather than South Korea. Have you heard about K-pop, K-drama, or K-food? As the Korean pop culture has become popular globally, interest in Korean foods has increased. This year, Parasite, a Korean film, won 4 awards in the Academy. With the popularity of the film, the export of ramen in the movie has been greatly expanded. Let me talk about Korea's soybean consumption. Last year, 105,000 metric tons of soybeans were locally produced, and 980,000 metric tons of commodity beans and 284,000 metric tons of non-GM food soybeans were imported. As locally produced beans are all used for food, a total of 390,000 metric tons of soybeans have been used for food. As you see, domestic production accounts for only 8% of the total consumption. This slide shows local soybean production from 1991 to 2019. The production trend is decreasing. For Korea, rice is the most important crop and staple grain. However, rice consumption per capita has decreased in recent decades, and now Korea has a problem with rice surplus. So the government has supported farmers to grow more soybeans instead of rice. These efforts has increased the soybean production from 86,000 metric tons in 2017 to 105,000 metric tons in 2019. But I don't think it is likely to increase significantly because quality of soybeans grown in the rice fields is poor. Even the local beans are at least several times more expensive than imported beans, so we rely heavily on imports. Last year, the U.S. market share in imported crushing beans reached 88%. It was a positive impact of the U.S.-China trade war. The main competitor for crushing bean is Brazil. For non-GM food soybeans, 75% of the total beans were imported from the U.S. This chart shows Korea food bean imports by country from 2012 to 2019. Korea is the second largest destination for U.S. food soybeans following Japan. Our soy food industry, such as tofu and soy milk, favors U.S. soybeans over other origins. It is for consistent soybean quality and reliable supply. China is the second largest supplier as most of the sprouting beans are imported from China. The overall trend of food bean import is decreasing as the Korean government has been reducing tariff rate quota TRQ. I will explain more about food bean TRQ in the next slide. Korea's food bean import system is kind of complex. There are 3 kinds of tariff rates. Within TRQ, the tariff is 5%, but outside TRQ, it is 487%. The reason for the high tariff is that the government wants to control soybean imports to protect local growers. AT, state-run trading company, purchased U.S. #1 grade non-GM soybeans through open tenders and supply them to end users. They handle over 70% of the total food bean imports. FTA, Free Trade Agreement, is very important for the soy food industry, as FTA allows them to import variety-specific IP food soybeans without the tariff. Korea-US FTA has been in effect in 2012. Since then, the FTA TRQ has been allocated to soy food associations representing tofu, soy sauce and paste, soy milk, and bean sprouts. The quota allows them to choose food bean varieties depending on their needs and to purchase them directly from suppliers. USSEC has introduced US IP food beans to Korean end users even before the FTA and has been supporting them to purchase IP beans from the US. This is a tariff rate quota under the FTAs with 4 countries. Korea has made FTAs with the US, Canada, Australia, and China in order. The quota for the Korea-US FTA this year is almost 30,000 metric tons. Korea-US FTA quotas continue to grow by 3% each year. However, other FTAs have kept quotas such as 17,000 metric tons for Canada, 1,000 metric tons for Australia, and 10,000 metric tons for China. So the quota cannot be increased beyond the limit. This table shows the main IP food bean specifications for 3 sectors in the soy food industry. Korea's GMO threshold is 3%, and single variety should be minimum 95%. All of the sectors require at least 35% protein content with a maximum 13% moisture level. Tofu industry considers that protein content is very related to the tofu production yield. And a major tofu co-op, Korea Federation of Tofu Co-op, requires a minimum 36% protein content as its basis. But the other tofu co-ops, they require a minimum 35%. For soy sauce and paste industry, they prefer clear or yellow hilum because black hilum may look like worms in soy paste products. For the soy milk industry, the preferred kernel size is more than 5.55 millimeters. This soy food market segment is based on imported food soybeans in 2019. As you see, the biggest sector is tofu. Among 284,000 metric tons, 51% tofu, 22% soy sauce and paste, 15% soy milk, and 11% bean sprouts were used. There are some changes every year, but there is no big difference. In 2018, tofu production was 384,000 metric tons, which decreased slightly compared to the previous year. The origin of soybeans used for manufacturing tofu is 56% imported and 44% domestically produced. The size of the retail market for tofu and processed tofu has increased. Due to COVID-19, there is a decrease in tofu demand for food service and catering sectors. This slide shows the production of soy sauce and paste from 2014 to 2018. Soy sauce and paste production has been somewhat fluctuating. While the production of traditional soy sauce has decreased, the proportion of mixed soy paste has increased as the number of mixed soy paste products for convenient use has increased. Major soy sauce and paste manufacturers in Korea like CJ, Daesang, and Sajodaerim have their virtual booths for the trade show, so you can take a look at their products there. As of 2018, the total beverage market size was $7.7 billion. Out of this, soy milk accounted for 5.7%. Since 2016, soy milk production has gradually increased. I heard an interesting story for soy milk consumption. When the economy is not good, soy milk consumption increases as people spend more time staying at home. Due to COVID-19, soy milk sales online has increased while offline sales has decreased. Major soy milk manufacturers in Korea like Dr. Jung's Food, Samyuk Food and Bell Dairies also have their own booths, and I hope you have a chance to visit them. With the interest in well-being, the natto market is gradually expanding. Natto has attracted young consumers because it is ready to eat and does not smell strong. It is mainly made of domestically produced beans and imported organic beans. As the market size increases, more food companies have entered the natto business, and new products are now competing. As a single household is growing and many married working couples are hardly cooking at home, the demand for the ready-made meal has rapidly increased. COVID-19 made this market bigger. As the school was delayed and working from home increased, the meal kit consumer groups expanded to 50 to 60s, following 30 to 40s. Korea HMR market size was $4.3 trillion in 2019, and it is expected to sharply increase to $8.5 trillion in 2023. COVID-19 raised more interest in plant-based meats and immune-supporting foods such as high-protein and fermented foods. In particular, more consumers got interested in the plant-based meats for health and sustainability than ever before. As of 2018, domestic vegetarian population has grown by nearly 10 times in 10 years to 1.5 million, so potential consumption for plant-based meat is expected to expand. Let me introduce USSEC Korea's programs for the soy food industry. We host the annual Food Buyers Conference and Tabletop Trade Show in April, as the FTA TRQ allocation for next year is usually announced around that time. Because of COVID-19, we couldn't host it this year, but we'll do it next year again. I hope many US suppliers can attend it, as they can meet all the major Korean food buyers and end users in one place. For soy food promotion, we do advertisements and release a series of articles on the health benefits of soy foods in newspapers and social media. Lastly, we host a trade mission consisting of major food buyers to the Global Trade Exchange. It helps them to get timely market information and build a strong relationship with the US soy industry. This is your new USSEC member slide. Thanks for being our member. That is it. Thank you for listening.